Hello students, welcome to BioSmart Academy. In today's lecture, we were going to discuss about an very important topic, that is selenocysteine and pyrrolysine. Okay, so these are the structure of selenocysteine and pyrrolysine. Okay, we will discuss this topic in brief. Okay, so before I start this topic, I just recommend you that please go through our lecture series of amino acid, okay, as well as other topics of biochemistry. Okay, so let's start today's topic, that is selenocysteine and pyrrolysine. Okay, so what is this selenocysteine? Okay, basically we all know that there are 20 amino acids that basically take part in protein synthesis naturally. Protein synthesis. Clear now? But there are actually 22 amino acids. But there are actually 22 amino acids rather than 20 amino acid, and that are specified by genetic code. Okay, and that two extra amino acid, that is plus 2, that is added, become 22, and that two extra amino acid are selenocysteine and pyrrolysine. Okay, clear now? Selenocysteine is basically considered to be the 21st amino acid, and pyrrolysine is basically considered to be 22nd amino acid. Clear? And remember one point, these two amino acid both are take part in protein synthesis. Okay, both are take part in protein synthesis, but they are found in few proteins, very few proteins. Clear now? See, in yesterday's lecture I basically discussed about the uncommon amino acids. Okay, so don't confuse selenocysteine and pyrrolysine with uncommon amino acid. Okay, with uncommon amino acids, because in yesterday's lecture you have seen this type of structures like this, 4-hydroxyproline, 5-hydroxylysine. Okay, I discussed all these things in yesterday's lecture. Please go and watch that. Okay, so as it is 4-hydroxyproline, it is derived 4-hydroxyproline, it is derived from proline. Okay, and 5-hydroxylysine basically derived from lysine. Okay, so don't confuse this with this selenocysteine and pyrrolysine, because you may be confused that selenocysteine may be derived from cysteine. No, selenocysteine is not derived from cysteine. Okay, not derived from cysteine, but yes, its structure is similar to that of cysteine, but it is not derived from cysteine. Okay, not derived from cysteine. Similarly, pyrrolysine is also not derived from lysine. Maybe its structure similar to lysine, but it is not derived from lysine. And these are also not the post-translational modifications. Okay, these are also not the post-translational modification like that of uncommon amino acids. Clear? These are purely 21st and 22nd amino acids. Okay, that is selenocysteine, SEC, and pyrrolysine, that is PYL, and both of these are take part in protein synthesis. Both of these are found in few proteins. Clear? So basically this is a basic introduction about the selenocysteine and pyrrolysine. Okay, now we move towards a brief lecture about the selenocysteine. Okay, so first we discuss about the selenocysteine. Okay, selenocysteine. Okay, selenocysteine basically denoted by SEC in a 3-letter word, and in a single letter word it is denoted as capital U. Please remember this. Okay, now, so basically what is this selenocysteine? Just note down some important point. It is considered to be 21st amino acid. Okay, the structure of selenocysteine is basically similar to that of cysteine, okay. Now if you look at the structure of cysteine and selenocysteine, then you will find that it is very much similar to that of cysteine, okay. Now just look at the structure of cysteine. As you already know the structure of cysteine, that is this is the group and this is the hydrogen. These all three are common in every amino acid. Just in case of cysteine, this sulfhydryl group is present. That is, sulfur is present. Okay, that's why cysteine is considered to be amino acid which contain sulfur, or you can say sulfur containing amino acid, cysteine and methionine. So this is the structure of cysteine, okay. Now just look at the structure of selenocysteine, then you will get the idea that its structure is similar to that of cysteine, okay. Just look at the structure. This is common in every amino acid, okay. This is the hydrogen. Now here in case of selenocysteine, CH2 till this common, okay. But in case of sulfur, in selenocysteine, selenium group is present, okay. Remember this is a very important concept. In selenocysteine, selenium group is present, Se, selenium group is present. But in case of cysteine, all the structure is same, but in case of cysteine, this sulfur group is present, okay. That's why we considered that cysteine and selenocysteine, that is selenocysteine, is very much similar to that of cysteine, okay. So these are the two important points regarding this selenocysteine. Now third important point, note it down. Selenocysteine are basically found in bacteria, and the enzyme is formate dehydrogenase, okay. Formate dehydrogenase, just note down the name, formate dehydrogenase, okay. So this is present basically in bacteria, okay, clear. And in mammal it is present in glutathione peroxidase, glutathione peroxidase, okay. So you have to remember these two examples, because sometime you get question in examination that glutathione peroxidase basically is an example of selenocysteine or not. Yes, basically it is not an example, okay. These are the enzyme which contain selenocysteine, okay. So these are the enzymes which contain selenocysteine, okay. So basically in bacteria, the selenocysteine basically contain in the enzyme formate dehydrogenase, okay. Bacteria, let's say E. coli, okay. Clear. So in E. coli, the selenocysteine is present in the enzyme formate dehydrogenase, while in mammals the selenocysteine is basically present in glutathione peroxidase, okay. So this is another concept regarding the selenocysteine, okay. Now let's look at another concept, okay. So basically a special type of, see this is a amino acid, okay. Selenocysteine is what? Is a amino acid, okay. That is 21st amino acid. So as it is a amino acid, so is basically take part in what? Protein synthesis, clear. Now however, the problem is that selenocysteine is basically coded by a codon UGA. Please note it down. Selenocysteine is coded by a codon UGA, okay. But we all know that UGA is a stop codon. It means what? It does not have any anticodon, okay. Clear. Okay, now, and because of this, selenocysteine has its own tRNA. Selenocysteine has its own special type of tRNA, that is SER tRNA. Clear? Here SER means what? Serine. serine, okay, serine tRNA, okay, which is basically present at lower level than the other serine tRNAs, okay, and this SER tRNA basically recognize this UGA codon, basically recognize this UGA codon, clear, and this tRNA is charged, this tRNA is basically charged with serine, this tRNA is basically charged with serine by the normal serine amino acyl tRNA synthase enzyme, by the normal serine amino acyl tRNA synthase, amino acyl tRNA synthase, okay. So till now you get clear idea, okay, now, okay, so clear now, and the serine then enzymatically converted to selenocysteine, and then after charge, so what we discussed basically this tRNA, okay, this tRNA, that is SER tRNA, okay, this SER tRNA basically charged by what, basically charged by serine amino acyl tRNA synthase enzyme, tRNA synthase enzyme, clear, and when this serine amino acyl tRNA synthase enzyme charged this tRNA, then the serine basically converted, basically what, converted, basically converted, okay, then the serine basically converted to selenocysteine, okay, selenocysteine by separate enzyme, before it used at the ribosome for the purpose of protein synthesis, clear. So students, I hope that you get a clear idea about this selenocysteine, and believe me, this is a very important concept, and if you have still any doubt, then please ask me on the comment box, okay, I will try to make it more clear. Now let's look the another enzyme, that is pyrolysin. Pyrolysin, clear. Pyrolysin basically coded by 3-letter word PYL and O, single letter word O, clear, okay. Now note it down some important point regarding pyrolysin. So pyrolysin is basically considered as 22nd amino acid, okay. Now structure, the structure of pyrolysin is considered somewhat similar to lysine, okay, okay, clear. I teach you the structure of lysine. Now just look at the structure of lysine. I draw it again, okay, just look at the structure. This is this C alpha, this is the CO minus, this is the basic group NH3 plus, and this is the hydrogen, and here basically I am going to draw the side chain, okay. So CH2 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 CH2, 4 CH2 with end NH3 plus, okay. So this is the structure of lysine, clear. This is a alpha carbon, this is a beta carbon, this is gamma carbon, this is delta carbon, and this is epsilon carbon, and because of this epsilon carbon present with the attached, this ammonia is attached with this epsilon carbon, that's why it is also called as epsilon amine, okay, epsilon amine, okay, clear. Why this is alpha carbon, this is alpha carbon because it is attached with the primary functional group COO minus, okay. So basically this is the structure of lysine, clear. I explained all these things in my previous lectures of amino acid, okay, so please go and watch that. So this is the structure of lysine. So its structure is similar, somewhat similar to that pyrolysin, okay. So the structure of pyrolysin is somewhat similar to this structure. Now I will going to show you the structure of pyrolysin. Just look at the structure, see, this is the structure of pyrolysin, okay. Just here this group is basically added, pyrrole group is basically added, okay, this group is basically added, and because of this group, this structure is considered to be a spirolysine. But remember, this is not a modification, this is a 22nd amino acid. Okay, I will going to explain all these things. Okay, and all the structure basically similar to that of lysine. Here you can find out that this is the alpha carbon, this is the beta carbon, this is the gamma carbon, this is the delta carbon, and this is the epsilon carbon. Okay, with this NH group is added, and with this pyrrole group is added, and it become pyrrolysine. Clear? So this is the structure of pyrrolysine. I hope you get a clear idea now. Now next, so this is a two important point that I discussed about pyrrolysine. Now next important point, just note it down. The next important point related to pyrrolysine. Okay, just note it down. So the third important point is that pyrrolysine basically found in anaerobic archaea. Anaerobic archaea, which are basically called what? Methanogens. Note it down, which are basically called methanogens. Okay, why they are basically called methanogens? They are called basically methanogens because they produce methane. For what purpose they produce methane? They produce methane for the purpose of metabolism. Okay, so till now you got a clear idea. Okay, for the purpose of metabolism, these methanogens produce methane. Okay, and basically pyrrolysine are found in group of anaerobic archaea, that is called methanogens. Clear? Now note it down, another important point regarding pyrrolysine. Basically the gene that encode pyrrolysine, that is, I just write down the 3-letter word. Okay, the gene that encode pyrrolysine is what? UAG. In case of seleноcysteine we see UGA, but in case of pyrrolysine the gene that encode pyrrolysine is UAG. Okay, UAG. Clear? And remember one point, unlike seleноcysteine, pyrrolysine attached directly to the tRNA. Attached directly to tRNA. Clear? To tRNA. Okay, by a enzyme. Here the enzyme is pyrolysyl tRNA synthesis, by enzyme known as pyrolysyl tRNA synthase. Clear? Can you explain me the difference between synthase and synthetase? If you know, then please comment me on the comment box. So till now you got a clear idea, and this methanogen produced pyrrolysine via metabolic pathway that remain to be elucidated. We don't know that actually how this pyrrolysine produced by this anaerobic archaea, but it considered that the pyrrolysine is produced by this pyrrolysine are basically produced by this methanogen via the metabolic pathway. I discussed about the metabolic pathway. Okay, they basically produce methane. Okay, they basically produce what? Methane. Why? That's why they are called methanogens. Okay, and they produce methanes because for their metabolism process, and on that metabolic pathway they basically going to produce pyrrolysine. Okay, so basically this is a concept, but what is the exact pathway that going to produce this pyrrolysine? It need to be elucidated. We don't know about the clear idea about this. Okay, so I hope that you got benefited from today's lecture and you learned many things from today's lecture. If you like today's lecture, then please share the lectures with your friends, and please comment if you don't understand anything, if you want to know more about this. Okay, if you not understood any important thing. Okay, and remember one thing, this lecture is very important, so please note it down, the things that I explained in this lecture. So we will meet on our next lecture. Till then, stay safe, stay happy, and stay healthy. Thank you.